In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at how to put a thinking space where students can write onto the page, as well as multiple images that we can click through and take a look at. So let's get started. I've already got my header on this page, and you can see I've got my color scheme all set up, so I'm ready to go there. The first thing we're going to do is bring in some images. So to do that, I'm going to go to Insert, Media, and I've got my images already in a folder ready to go, and I bring them in one at a time. So I'm just double clicking, Insert, Media, and I'm selecting each page in turn, or each image. And once I get all 4 of the images that I want onto the page, I can move them around and resize them. And I'm going to resize them so that they're exactly the same width and height, because we're going to work with an action called send to the back, and when we work with that action, it works great if everything is the same size. That way it covers everything up. So I'm just lining these up and then stretching them using the bounding boxes. And you can do that as long as it doesn't make your image look too weird. Sometimes it'll throw things out of place or whatever, and it looks strange. So I'm just getting the height, and then I'm getting the width. You can see they came in the order, they're layered in the order that I imported them onto the page. So the last one onto the page is on the top, if that makes sense. And we can change the order if we want. If I go to View and Browsers, and in this third browser over, my object browser, here you can see a list of all of my images. And as I click on each one in the object browser, it selects it on the page. And I can drag an image behind another image or behind text using the object browser. So once I have those all on my page, I can line them up either by just clicking and dragging, or if I click and hold with my mouse and I select anywhere on these images, it's going to select all of them. And from there, I can right click and go to Align, and I want to align the left, and I want to align the top. And now I've got them all selected, and I've got them all the same size, and they're all together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Action browser here, which is the sixth one, sorry. It looks like a little top. If I click on the Action browser, and I'm going to make sure I'm in the Current Selection tab, not the Drag and Drop tab. We're going to look at the Drag and Drop tab in just a second. But if I go to Current Selection, and I've got an option here, and the option is Send to Back. And because I want, when I click on the image itself, I want it to send itself to the back. I don't need to select any target or anything down here. I'm just clicking on Send to Back and Apply Changes. And if I click out of that, since I'm in presentation mode, now when I hover over my image, you can see I've got that little tiny play button, which means there's an action there, and it should send each image to the back of the pile. And you can see that here if I go to the object browser. If I rename this one, I'm going to double click and name it Laughs. I'm only doing that so you can see how it's going to move in the object browser to the back. So if I've selected that top image, or I don't have to select it, sorry, I can just click on that top image, and you'll see now it's now at the bottom of my pile of images. And there's image 1, 2, 3, 4. There they are, they're moving each time I click on them. So we've got that done. So we're just going to finish up by creating a box over here on the side that the students can write in, or you as a teacher can write in. So I've got my shape tool. I'm going to select rectangle. Again, you've got your outer color and your inner color. I want mine to be that dark or deep red. So that's just we're going to have a funky inside color for a second, and I'll show you how to change that. So if I click in the top left-hand corner and drag to the bottom right-hand corner, and that looks about right, and then I release. Now I'm going to grab my fill tool because I'm going to fill up this rectangle, it's almost a square, isn't it, with that maroon or deep red color. So if I select the fill, the paint bucket or fill tool, as well as that deep red, and I just dump my paint right in there, then I'm going to get my text tool, that big capital T, and I'm going to write, what is propaganda? If I can spell it correctly. And you can see my text is a little too big. So if I select all my text, I can come up to the top of my text dialog box here, and I can set it to a smaller text size, and then kind of reposition that. And if I get my select tool, or some people call it the arrow tool, I can now select everything on the page. And if I do a right click, I can lock it down. That way in presentation mode, which is this blue snowflake up at the top here, nothing will move and my actions will work properly. When I'm in design mode, which is when it's orange, or if you want to think of it as thawed out, I can reposition things that have been locked down. And when I've got them locked down, or when I've got them positioned correctly, I can go back to presentation mode, and now everything is going to work as if it were in a presentation. Then the last thing I want to do is I want to add a few drag and drop tools. So if I go up here to my action browser again, I'm going to go to the tab that says drag and drop, and then I'm just going to drag my select tool, the pen tool, the eraser tool onto that page. Sometimes if you want to completely roll up your toolbar while you're using this, or while kids are using this, you might put next page or previous page on there. And if you're going to have kids use it over and over, it's nice to have this reset page button on there. That way if I write anything on there, here's some squiggly lines, I can go back and reset the page, and it'll take all of the writing off of the page.